without shedding a tear for my brother.
Yo, what it is? Welcome back, we're still on volume 1, but this is part 2. Welcome back to the audio files on the InforMILLy Honest podcast. This is a new segment we got going, but we were still in the test run. So this go round, we gave 6 albums to each other to check out, to tell saying, these 6 albums resonate to me for these reasons. This is where I was at in my life. This is what I was going through. And when I heard her voice, his voice, their voices, that sound, that riff, it affected me this way. And so we offered that to each other. Every one of us had to listen to 18 fucking albums, entirely too many, matter of opinion. And we cut that down to 4 for future, but we got 6 for this go around. You heard on part 1, we offer 2 of everybody else's that affected us. And so before we had Adam and Aaron, this go around, you got Marco and yours truly. Enjoy. Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. It was I'm kind of hurting here, so I'm doing what I can.
Oh, yes, do what you gotta do, man.
Yeah.
So it's on me?
Marco, it's on you, yeah.
All right. So
yeah, try to take me serious for the rest of this stuff.
So I started out with EARTHGANG, Mirrorland, which just a quick precursor to all this. I kind of noticed that I just picked everybody's newest project, which is not how I would usually want to introduce an artist to people. I would probably want to introduce them with one. Actually, Buddy, I didn't choose his newest one, so that's one. But just take that into consideration. EARTHGANG, Mirrorland. I've been following them for a while. They actually got a lot of music, mixtapes, and I believe this is their first studio album.
Yeah.
So you could tell by the production and stuff like that. Honne. I really love Honne, man. I've been listening to them for a while. This album is called Love Me, Love Me Not. Probably not even my favorite album from them, but you can pick whatever album with them. I believe they're former like teachers, like science teachers that just turned.
They found their formula.
Yeah, I think they from the UK. Like they just turned R&B singers out of nowhere. Buddy, super dope, creative lyricist and just dope artist to me. Ocean in Montana. Men I Trust. I honestly don't know much about them, but from every song that I've heard from them is some type of lo-fi vibe that I dig. But that's actually a long album it's not long probably in length, but as far as the number of tracks,
yeah.
Knxwledge, which is a super dope producer to me. This is his latest effort. I honestly hadn't listened to this very much, but I'm just trying to introduce these specific artists to people, not necessarily the album. Knxwledge is a producer that I mess with. Sir Michael Rock's been out for a while. I don't even know how many albums he put out or mixtapes, because that's always get kind of watered down in hip hop at this point. Albums, mixtape, EPs, and all that. I can't keep track of that. I just call them all albums. So, this one from him, I haven't really sat with a long time, but he's one of them artists that I listen to that certain tracks really are resonating with me. So that's it.
Nice.
I'll go real quick, if you guys don't mind. My first choice, and probably my favorite, is the Honne. Love Me Not. I mean, from top to bottom, from production to songwriting, just sonically, like, I mean, their voices, the way their voices went with the track, and the entire project, I think is dope. And I will be adding them, or I have already added them to my playlist. So thank you for that. Yeah.
Real quick, it's Broken Window of Opportunity.
Yeah,
with
I noticed
Michael
that.
Rocks.
Yeah.
A quick little edit. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the Honne was really, it's probably my favorite out of your 6. I think it's just a solid project in general, and the production was dope, man. I want to say, I wonder, were you listening to them in high school, or were they out then, or like just after? Because I want to say,
I would say just after.
Okay.
Yeah, just
I want to
after
say you might have.
school,
I
probably.
want to say you might have introduced me to them around that time.
I think in all of our music exchanges, I think I introduced you guys to them before.
Yeah, that was solid, man. And my second was Knxwledge, 1988. And it actually, okay, so it reminded me. I mean, first of all, the production was amazing, and that shit kept me. I was impressed the entire thing, and and the tracks are super short.
Yeah,
I wish the tracks were longer. Like, they were that good that I wanted more. And
I
so
don't know
it kept
why,
me going.
like certain art producers or artists, I don't know if it's a recent thing, but they make super short songs, and if I like it a lot, I just loop it, man. I take it for what it is.
Yeah, it actually reminded me of that Theory of Everything, in the sense of, like, the stuff was like a minute long or less, but they were like great, powerful songs. So it like, the little bit they gave you really resonated, and it made the point it needed to make, and it made me want more.
I think there's probably a whole nother subject about the length of songs in today's music, but I think they do that, like, not that they have to be trying to say something, but if they were saying something is like comparable to the score, is like a scene, this scene should only last this long. Sense. Like, this emotion, I only want to display this long. I kind of take it like that when people make music kind of short. It's like, you want it to be longer because it's dope, but at the same time, they trying to portray this message or whatever, or this feeling or emotion in this time. So I kind of just take it like that.
Yeah. That's good. And I love the skits on there too. The skits were hilarious, yo.
Yeah.
He brought it back for me. And lastly, I would say the EARTHGANG didn't resonate with me as much, and I was actually surprised. But Men I Trust was like right there as my, like, number 3. If we were doing 3, it would be Men I. It just it gave me that 80s vibe that I liked. It reminded me a little bit of, like, the movie Drive. Like, that soundtrack, I thought was really, really dope. It just gave me that 80s feel that I need sometimes, apparently.
Okay.
Word. Go for it, AJ.
Okay. All right. So for me, I'm just do my picks first, and then if I have anything to add, because we've been talking for a minute. All right. So for me, so for me, and this isn't in order, but this is just the first thing I wrote down. So for me, my first one is going to be Honne as well, or Honne, or however you pronounce it. Like, for me, it's like, it just sounded like I was immediately attracted to how it just sounded. Like, even before I heard a word of what they said, like, they could have took all the lyrics off of that album, and it still would have made the list. Like that's
Yeah,
how
I
good it was
agree.
for me.
Yeah.
So, and honestly, I didn't even know that they were gonna start singing because I guess the first song I heard is kind of the intro is it's not long, but the intro is longer than most songs, I guess. So I just thought it was gonna be an instrumental. I thought it was gonna be lyricless, and then when they started singing, like, oh, okay. But I would have been okay regardless.
One thing
So it
about
just
Honne too, like with their accent,
mhm.
it's kind of easy to be like, oh damn, that's smooth. Like, okay, I mess with them, but
Mhm.
yeah,
what I'm saying is like their lyrics are pretty good. Like,
yeah,
if you look at what they saying, is I mean, it's R&B, it's love music or whatever,
Mhm.
mhm,
most of it, but they pretty good songwriters.
yeah.
I'm just saying it's
Um,
easy probably to overlook that because of their accent. It just, you know how we feel about UK accents, like
Mhm.
is automatically dope because a lot of times it's like, dang, they got an accent, but you know.
Yeah.
yeah, that's funny. That's a good point. Um, Yeah, I mean, interestingly enough, about UK singers and just European singers, I don't even say European, just across the ocean. For
Mhm.
whatever reason, they have not everybody, of course, but it feels like they have a more just I don't want to say soulful, but it just a lot of like so if you put their popular singers and pair them against our popular singers, I feel like they would win. Like I don't know. Not everybody, but
Well, that's a hard argument to make only because we're talking about their popular singers that reached out to even have an audience over here.
that's true.
Because
Yeah, that's a
I'm
good
sure
point.
there's plenty of people, you know, if we even just talking about the UK, granted the UK and US music industries are really closely related.
They only
Yeah.
send their best of the best.
Or they only
Yeah,
send what they think is appealing to an American market.
that's true.
Yeah.
But one thing I will say that I noticed, like when I was just thinking about this episode beforehand, was like I think it's really cool though that some of these artists are not American, and 20
Mhm.
years ago that just would have been more challenging to uh to do. I mean, of course, there's the big stars like Celine Dion, and you know I think she's like Canadian. I don't know where she's from,
Canadian,
but
yeah.
That's a
yes,
good
and there's
point,
other
man.
just yeah,
Because
there's other. Yeah, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say like we wouldn't have heard of Kurungbin because they only have like 70 something thousand views. Or one of the videos I saw was that's the only one I peeped the views, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, they
to
are
out of
American.
okay.
They are American, but still though, they're not like a mainstream art. Like, so you're right. Like 20
Right.
years ago, we probably would not have heard of them. Just even though they're American.
Mhm.
And just G with information on them. One interesting little tidbit is the drummer and the guitarist. They actually used to play for the same church that Beyonce grew up singing in.
In
Like,
Dallas. Wow.
Wow.
yeah, I thought that was really interesting. And I'm not saying they played while she was singing, but they just the same
But
building, I guess.
they
So
came
yeah,
from the same place.
Yeah, there's
but
a connection there. Yeah.
but my second pick is it was a hard pick because it was between Knowledge and Men I Trust. Um, and I ended up going with Men I Trust. Uh, they kind of reminded me of Krongman, to be honest, a little bit.
Mm.
But they just had a really like soothing feel to like uh their sound. I try to listen to like sometimes if I'm in a place where I can do it, especially if especially for this challenge specifically. On Apple Music, sometimes they'll give you like the lyrics to the songs,
Mm.
and I'll try to like read the lyrics as they
Yeah,
as the songs come.
that is a perfect way to listen to music. I'll do that too.
And I'll be honest, some of their lyrics were a bit over my head. I feel like I'd have to go back and analyze because it's very imagery. It's like it's like it's almost like they took some. It's almost like they wrote some poems and made music. So it's very poetic, and sometimes poems can be like deeper than they appear. So you got to really think about what they're saying, and that's cool. But that's really cool though. So that's why I picked Men I Trust, and it was between them and Knxwledge. And Knxwledge, pretty much same thing that Aaron was saying. I mean, he's just a great producer, really. I mean, there's nothing else to really say. Just really good. And I guess if I can touch on the other three really quick. Okay, so for me, EARTHGANG and Buddy, actually, the first time I actually heard them actually was on the Dreamville collaboration album that came out last year, I think. That was actually the first time I heard
I think I heard
either
a
of
Buddy
them.
before EARTHGANG, actually.
Yeah.
In the overall scheme of things.
Yeah. So for me, EARTHGANG, I really liked them on the Dreamville album. However, the album that I listened to, it felt like for me, it felt like it was just a lot. Like it was interesting, but it's like for me, I guess I'm basic. I guess, and it kind of makes me think of what I said about the Gnarls Barkley song "Open Book." How it's like that song specifically, just a lot happening, and it just like so it's kind of the same thing. I'm a very simple man.
Simple.
And Buddy, I think he's good. I like him. It's just maybe because it was shorter. Maybe that's why I just kind of overlooked it a little bit.
Yeah, his newest album is pretty long.
Okay.
And I think that's his first studio album too.
Okay.
But the reason I didn't use that is because I actually haven't listened to the whole thing.
Okay, that's fair.
But I mean, I'm a fan of his music overall, and I would have to say that I really don't listen to Ocean and Montana as a project. Like I was saying before, like it's select songs.
Yeah.
Like yeah, I mean that's with everybody, but
yeah,
I think he has some songs that's like crazy, like why is this dude not on? And then he has some songs that's like, okay, I think Pharrell like co-signed him in the past, but he really didn't get on. But I think he is super talented.
Yeah, I like his energy, specifically. I mean, I know this ain't nothing about Dreamville, but on the Dreamville album, I really like the energy that he brought, really to the whole album. Because even though he wasn't on every song,
his delivery is very creative. If I had an artist to say like I would want to be kind of the future, like however you want to say that, but I would probably choose Buddy out of this, definitely out of this list, but
yeah.
And
then I'm gonna say this one quick thing about Sir Michael Rock's Broken Window of Opportunity. For me, like it was weird because like for me, like it'd be one song that I would thought was amazing, then the next song like not so much. It was like a roller coaster for me. So that's all I got on that one. So Honne and Men I Trust are definitely gonna be in my rented music library. Reference to older episodes.
So mine are gonna be mad simple. Admittedly, I had the least amount of time to really tune in to Marcus's list as I would have preferred. Less than I would have preferred anyway. And so especially because of how much, working, et cetera, I've been doing over the past couple of days.
I would take that as my fault because I didn't post my list in a good ample amount of time. So
which is good. I'm not like trying to blame or nothing like that. It was mainly with the first two, I know I could listen, and definitely with yours, I was listening and doing work, so it became more passive listening. And so with that, my own frequency may not have been fully able to tune in. And so I say that ahead of saying what I connected with because I probably wasn't in the best space to connect with them. And so what you all feel toward like Honne and Men I Trust, I didn't necessarily have those experiences. And I don't know if I would have if my days were different. If that makes sense. Honne and Men I Trust were very passive listening for me, where they kind of became almost kind of background noise. Not noise, but like they became like a background to what was happening as opposed to me tuning into them. Buddy I was into, but I was in and out of, so it wasn't a bad experience at all. The Mykal Rocks was funny was when I saw it, I went, isn't that the dude from the Cool Kids? And I had to like look it up and make sure because I haven't heard anything from him since Cool Kids. So that was cool to
he put out a lot of music actually.
I'm sure. And that's what I'm saying. I've just been out of the loop in regards to him. So my two choices, based on at least how I've been feeling anyway, or what I was able to really tune into with my listen through, were Knxwledge, because I had heard that already, but I hadn't listened to it since it first came out. I listened to the whole thing since it first came out. But Minding My Business is my shit. That's like my theme song. And
about the Knxwledge album, if you read all the track listens, is actually like a whole sentence.
Yeah.
Which is
that's hilarious. I didn't even put that together.
Yeah. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, the way it came up on
like
the screen
each
in the car.
song has a title, but is a part of whatever he's saying, you know.
Yeah.
Kind of dope.
Yeah, I thought that was dope too. Yeah.
I mean, the spelling is not traditional, but
no, it's not.
Nah, not at all.
Don't be afraid. Time's not promised. Do you? That's all we can do. Listen, learn how to cope with reality. You're gonna get one.
Cope with the K.
Yep. So live life. Be safe.
I love this message.
Watch who you call your homie. They come and go. Don't gotta be gangsters all the time. Believe me, it can be so nice. Make use of the time. Make it live forever. A woman's life is love. A man's love is life. Keep on minding my business.
I love that for some reason. Like,
yeah, that's a great musical Easter egg.
yeah.
And
the fact that it's 1988. You know, represent.
True. Represent 88 Squad. Sorry to both of you who are 89.
Yeah, to be like.
And funny enough, I did not care for the EARTHGANG album the first time I listened to it, but going back and listening to it this time felt better.
That's one thing about them is like, well, it's some songs that immediately catch your attention. As far not referring to the album, just to them in general.
Yeah.
But then the newest album, Mirrorland, I would say that I felt the same way. Like at first when I listened to it, it's like it's kind of hard to I guess bypass some of the stuff. But I think after I listened to it a certain amount of time, is like, for one, the production I appreciate more, and the content, like their style, I guess you probably would not catch what they're saying immediately sometimes.
Yeah.
So I could agree with that.
So yeah, it definitely sat better with me this time listening to it than it did with my initial exposure to it. So those are my two choices: Knxwledge and EARTHGANG.
That La La Land joint I actually liked a lot.
That's one of the ones that I had to listen to more times to appreciate. But I probably would not say I appreciate. I mean, I like it, but I probably wouldn't say that's one of my go-tos on there. If y'all get a chance, check out the videos though. Like the videos are kind of.
I've seen a couple.
Yeah, they pretty elaborate and kind of trippy.
Mm-hmm. And it's a different form of Afrofuturism that's a little more like damn near on acid. But I guess I'll go ahead and go kick into this. I try to keep it cohesive and straight to the point. So my list jumps a bit around as far as like genre and whatnot, as everybody has, and I realized I was the only one that had this hard of a rock contribution to it. So I'm really curious to hear what y'all are saying.
Hey, I think I got a lot to contribute to future lists. So I think these lists are gonna evolve a lot.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
Especially now that we've gotten into it. Yeah.
I just keep thinking that like I can't wait for the next one.
We're gonna change up some of these parameters too to make like less albums.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
okay.
cool. That's cool.
So first album we got Vaxis-Act 1, The Unheavenly Creatures by Coheed and Cambria. Coheed and Cambria is my favorite rock band. They are a progressive rock band out of California. This is their 9th studio album, in which they have been making. They've been my band since high school. My favorite band since high school. My brother got me into them a long time ago. They're all 8 of their 9 albums are actually based on a comic book / graphic novel series by the lead singer, Claudio Sanchez, entitled The Amory Wars. And so literally all of the songs are pretty much built in a way of he's writing the story and then the songs are born out of the story.
Okay.
The concept albums.
They're all concept albums pretty much.
Nice.
And so like even on the cover art, the first, like as far as I've seen, black character is this character Vaxis that's on the cover of it. It's real dope. And this is actually my favorite album by them. Every song just feels good. It has that thing where they have like catchy hooks and it's very melodic, but it has beautiful elements of different rock. And progressive rock just means that no song is made to sound the same on the album, so they can jump around between genres as long as it's feeding the same spine. And Claudio's voice is great. I've seen the band live like 3-4 times now. A lot of people have a hard time getting into him because of his voice, but I really enjoy him because of his voice.
His voice is very clear. It's very like it cuts through everything, which is rare for rock, for me at least. Like you can hear every word that he's saying, which I really appreciate.
Yeah.
So just my quick 2 cents.
Absolutely. And especially like how the band has progressed, where they used to be even closer to screamo when they first started, but now they've just evolved to this beautiful sound that's just really great. Next we got A Man Born Black by Mykal Kilgore. This is actually a good friend of mine. He's a brilliant artist. Forgive me, I cannot remember where he's originally from, but he lives in New York now. He's been doing a lot of work on Broadway. If you're familiar with the group Postmodern Jukebox, he's done some really great work with them, a lot of viral videos with them via YouTube. And so this is his first solo project, in which I can't describe it better than him, where he says, if you just listen to the album, you'll acknowledge that it's a great R&B album. But if you really pay attention to the lyrics, it makes you look deeper. And go ahead, Marcus.
I just felt like it was very gospel inspired.
I can get that, and I'm sure he's a church boy, so he'll tell you that too. And especially because his voice is so big,
and not only his voice, but the musicality, like just the musicality of it was to me very gospel like.
That's an interesting perspective. Absolutely. Then we got Jim Crow the Musical by Add2, the latest project by him, Chicago rapper, incredibly dope lyricist. I think that this concept album was a stroke of genius.
It was.
And
it definitely was.
The production on it is absolutely ridiculous. The lyricism is absolutely ridiculous. I can't say enough about how like brilliant from top to bottom that album is. Then we got Caustic Love by Paulo Nutini, an artist I was introduced to some years ago. I don't even remember how I got introduced to him, but the song Iron Sky was the first song I heard by him that inspired me to eventually create a piece that a men's trio that I choreographed called When Men. That is probably one of the strongest pieces I've made to date. And then my favorite song on the album, Looking for Something, has some of the best, like lyrically is some of the, like the most resonant lyrics for me. I can't think of a better way to put that. Then we got Your Queen is a Reptile by Sons of Kemet. This is this is a London jazz band led by Shabaka Hutchins, who also has two other bands, but they're an incredibly talented jazz band out of London that I've seen a couple times, and I can only describe them as an experience because there's no way you go in there and not come out sweating, because the energy of it, if it was overwhelming for you from the recording, it's ridiculous live, where they don't take breaks. There's no he may stop at one point to talk, but otherwise they just play. And although a couple of the songs may have a guy doing some kind of English rapping situation, that doesn't usually exist in their live shows. It's just them playing. And the crazy thing about them is that for as big of a sound as they have, it's only 4 dudes. And it's saxophone flautist Shabaka Hutchins, tuba, Theon Cross, and then 2 set drummers, in which I've never even seen a band that had 2 set drummers.
I will say the Arcs actually, they perform live with 2 drummers.
Word. Never knew
ironically
that.
Or coincidentally.
Yeah. And so
that's interesting.
Yeah, like I love this album for the visceral experience that it is. And yeah.
That's a good way to explain it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And last but not least, we got the M.A.F.E project. The M.A.F.E project by BJ the Chicago Kid. Funny enough, I have not been necessarily a fan of BJ's studio albums, but this album, this EP, was a really strong project for me. And I gotta admit, I like his covers more than I like his originals a lot of the time. But this has some originals on it that I do really enjoy. And so this was I put this on here just because it was kind of a different experience of some good fucking music. And even if you don't even if you don't look at it like that, it's hilarious. Some of the songs are just hilarious. And BJ has this thing where he reminds me of cats that we went to high school with. Like if you have, it's not on this album, but if you ever hear his cover of "How Does It Feel" by D'Angelo,
start taking your clothes off.
No, it's hilarious because like he introduces the second verse by saying that he's jealous of your panties because they kiss that pussy all day or something. And so that just lyricism like that will always crack me up. So those are my 6 albums.
That's actually a clever line, man. I think
I agree.
Yeah.
But those are my 6.
I think it's dope.
Here we go. Picks and critiques.
Okay. Let me start this off real quick. I'm gonna be quick per usual, but there
you go.
My number. All right. Man, all right. So it's yours was, I don't want to, part of me wants to say the easiest to do because these 2 just hit me. It's like the ones that I picked of yours, when I heard them subconsciously, I must have already made up my mind because they were so fucking good. So let's see, where's it at? Mike, is his name Mykal or Mike? How do you pronounce his name?
Mykal
Mykal.
Kilgore.
Yeah, Mykal Kilgore, a man born black. I will be adding that to my playlist. His fucking voice is incredible, man. That dude's voice is incredible.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that voice.
Man, yo, his voice is like piercing, like it.
Yeah.
It cut through any bullshit that I had going on. It reached something. It cut through the bullshit and like allowed me to like really. It made me more. I felt like it made me more receptive because it was so good. I remember having this conversation with my girlfriend saying, "I wonder if he had ever done theater or like plays." Because he would be incredible. That was like the thing that hit my mind first. Which that also means that he has an incredible voice, even live. It could be that good, is impressive, and I dare say rare, or maybe for like stuff that we see that's very popular.
Yeah, as Adam was talking about, what did you call a fun fact?
About
you use a term for fun facts.
A G
whiz fact.
G whiz information.
G whiz information. I want to say it was maybe a year, maybe two ago. The Paramount Theater in a suburb of Chicago was doing an all-black cast of Jesus Christ Superstar, which is a really famous musical if you don't know. And he played Judas. And tore that motherfucker up.
I bet he, yo, that voice made me turn my back on Jesus too. Look, man, I swear to God.
He betrayed Jesus like no other.
Look, yo, this mother, I'm just saying. And I want to pick out two songs in particular. When It's This Good and Let Me Go. Had me floored, man. I listened to the whole album and then I revisited those two songs over and over and over again.
That's real. Let Me Go is actually his main single.
Man, like it was one of those things where it made me feel like, why haven't I heard of him? I was like disappointed in myself for missing out on something so good for so long. You know? All right. And then coincidentally, I feel the same way about this other young man. Coming up next from the
coming to the stage.
Paulo Nutini, Caustic Love. So I can say this about Paulo Nutini and about Mykal Kilgore. It made me feel so good that when I hear something that I really like and it's that good, in that moment it makes me feel like they're the GOAT of everything in that moment. Like, yo, he's the GOAT for sure. Like, that's how I know. Am I the only one who's done that? You're like, yo, this motherfucker's the greatest ever. Like, right now, he's the greatest ever.
Aaron,
I do have an issue
I
with
always
like
appreciated your passion.
Sometimes I do jump the gun on stuff. I will say, like, man, this is like the best album I've heard since.
Yeah. In the moment, it feels like the greatest. And that's why I'm like, that shit is dope.
I do jump the gun. I admit.
All right.
I did that with the Honne album, actually. I did that with the Honne album, and I mentioned that in the group chat. I was like, man, I'm 2 songs in, and I'm like, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that's a perfect example of me jumping the gun. I mean, it ended up still making my list anyway, but still.
Okay, now, Caustic Love. No, it's all good. When I originally, just take it back, I originally heard my original introduction to Paulo Nutini was New Shoes. And I think that was like 2006, 2008 or something. When that song like came out, it was popular.
I have no idea.
I could be wrong, but it was years ago. And that I thought it was a great song. It was fun loving. Fairly poppy though. So it could be one of those flukes. But and I listened to some of his music, but I didn't like really dive in the way I did now from listening to this album that Josh put up, Caustic Love. When I was in France previously a couple months ago, somebody was playing it, and I kind of like jumped back in a little bit. But when I listen to this album now, this particularly a song called Iron Sky. Yo, that's when I was like, this dude is the GOAT. This dude is the GOAT.
Hey, he had to adjust the glasses on that one.
Yo. I mean, the album in general, top to bottom, once again, a solid piece of work. Song, like the lyrics are dope. The dude's voice is incredible. Like I want to say he rode the beat so well, but that's like the hip hop in me. That's the hip hop in me, man. He rode the beat so well. But like he just went, it reminded me of like a perfect balance of somebody's voice and a track making that perfect marriage.
I want to say that the album cover is pretty fitting for what you saying.
Yeah, dude. And once again,
I think they recognize that.
Yeah, and he's dope live too. He's actually like one of those dudes who's dope live. I've never seen him, but he's
dope live. No doubt about it.
I'm seeing some YouTube videos. He seems
exactly.
Dope
he seems dope live, unless unless that was his cousin videotaping. So I don't know. But yeah, that dude is incredible, man. That album. I have nothing bad to say about that album. I can listen to that album front to back without skipping once again, and that's another telltale sign for me.
13 songs.
It feels pure. Like it's a solid piece if I can listen to it front to back in my mind without even wishing that a song was over. I could go back to another song. That shit was a wonderful man. So my two, Mykal Kilgore and Paulo Nutini. Easy picks, man.
Okay. I guess I'll go. Okay. So for me, I'm gonna go with my two picks first, and then if I have anything to add. So for me, number one, hands down, Jim Crow the musical. Like, it was so good. I was actually listening to this on the way to work. I can only listen to half of it because I don't live that far away. But I listen to the other half on my break. But so I mean, as the title, kind of gives you, it's about racism for the most part, Jim Crow the musical, and it's so fitting for the times now. I mean, it's fitting for all times if you're Black, but just with what's on the news right now, specifically with George Floyd, it just sums up everything perfectly, really. And like the dude, add to lyrically, he's just so clever. It's just like the wordplay is just like the subject matter is great, and it's it's stuff that we've heard before, but the way that he presents it is flawless. So that's my number one pick, and then number two is I also Caustic Love by Paulo Nutini. I feel like that album is right up my alley as far as like with the type of rock that I listen to. It kind of reminded me of a little bit of Alabama Shakes, actually, a little bit. Yeah, I feel like if I was to play them on like Pandora, I'm like the only person that still listens to Pandora. But
I'm messing Pandora.
Okay, so if I was to play like Alabama Shakes radio, I feel like I could picture one of his songs coming on. So it's kind of like reminds me of them a little bit. And for me, it just feels good. Like, I mean, I think that's why I put it on here. I feel like Jim Crow the musical didn't make me feel good. It just made me like, it made me feel. If that's probably, maybe that's not the best description, but it made me feel.
No, that's
I
very
feel
real.
you. Yeah.
And then Caustic Love made me feel good. It was a groovy album. Groovy. It's like a groovy album.
Yeah, that's a good way. It's a good word for it.
BJ the Chicago Kid. Before this album, I only really heard him on like features and stuff, and I'm not even say features. I think I heard him like on 2 songs. I know he has a song with Anderson .Paak that I really like, actually. I mean, I'm not a huge fan, but he's a good singer though. I do think he has a great voice. Sons of Kemet. I actually listened to, that was the first album I actually listened to out of this whole thing, actually. It's very powerful. I think that's the best word for it. I do like jazz, and although this isn't necessarily my favorite type of jazz, it's I can definitely say it's big. I think that's the best word for it. Like I could only
Yes.
imagine, I can only imagine hearing them live. Like I feel like that would be a really good experience. And hopefully they come to Chicago or the area sometime soon, because I would like to see them.
I know Shabaka is supposed. Well, I don't know when he rescheduled the show for one of his other bands. Was supposed to be here back in April, but yeah. So pretty much like he kind of has his bands on rotation.
Okay.
And so which would mean that like Sons of Kemet has to be due for a new album soon, which would mean at some point they'll come back to Chicago. But yeah, like last year was the first time they had ever been to Chicago, and they did 2 shows, and both of them were ridiculously good.
Yeah,
3 shows.
it's just a really big sound. I think you said there's a tuba player or tubist.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Tuba
Yeah,
player.
That's I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's a tuba player in another jazz band somewhere, but out of the jazz that I've heard, I don't think that I've ever heard that before, and it was really cool.
You remember Amir?
Yeah. Hustling on the streets of Chicago.
But or New Orleans,
yeah. But yeah, so I like them. But then the last 2 albums you picked was A Man Born in Black. If I'm not mistaken, isn't that the guy that made that that one song, Reclaiming My Time?
Yep.
That went viral.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. So I mean, even from that video alone, like this dude can sing, even though it was meant to be funny, I'm assuming it was meant to be funny.
Yeah, it was.
It was great though. Like even though it was funny, it was like this dude can legitimately sing.
Yeah.
And I did hear the gospel that Aaron was talking
Marcus
about.
brother.
Even oh yeah, Marcus. Wait, who said he was gospel?
Marcus. No, Marcus was like he could hear gospel in his sound.
Okay.
You're pointing to Josh to me.
And you're pointing to Adam to me.
But
I'm talking to myself.
So for me, regardless, it's not necessarily my cup of tea, but the vocals cannot be denied. I mean, he has one of those rare voices, like legend. Like if he was okay, so like if he was like back in the day, like in like the 70s or something, like he would have been like in like he got the right person discovered him. He would have been like somebody that our parents would listen to, in my opinion. Like he was like that talented.
Like the male Whitney Houston or something. Yo, did I say that? Did I just say that?
Oh, shit. So that's how I feel about him. I think he's really talented. Like I said, not the genre necessarily isn't necessary for me, but vocally is like incredible. And then the last album by Coheed and Cambria. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
All right. So I knew for years that was your favorite band. So I was really interested in listening to them because I never had before. So I wanted, I guess you could say, I wanted to know like why they're your favorite band. And the one thing you mentioned about them, like the lead singer being also a graphic novelist, and making the songs off of that. That's really cool. There's actually an artist that my wife listens to. That it could be where she got that idea from. But have you ever heard of Lights by chance? Okay, well, her last album was actually based on that, where every song is. She wrote a comic book. It wasn't a graphic novel, but she wrote a comic book and drew all the art for it, and every song is based on the book. So I'm only assuming she probably got that from them. I mean, I just feel like it makes sense, especially since they've been out for like a really long time.
Yeah.
But anyway, enough about her, about them. I think the sound was amazing. It was cinematic is what it felt like. It felt very cinematic, and that could be the elements of the fact that it was based on a story that could be, you know, that's a really big centipede. But anyway, I'll get that one later. So yeah, I just, it was very, like, I feel like I wish I could hear this album in like a surround sound room. Like I feel like that would be a great experience. and I feel like the album art just fits the music really well. And just to go back to what you were saying earlier about the I hate when I lose my point, man.
It's all good. What in regards to what?
About their album, and was it the album art?
About the
Man,
album
I
art?
forgot.
Okay.
I forgot, but I'm gonna just say I really like the sound. It sounds very cinematic. Yeah, like they would probably be my third on that list. If we were doing three, they would be number 3 for me.
Word. So your
That's all I got.
two were Paulo and Atu?
Yep. It didn't even hit me that Add 2 is on our theme song.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I never actually saw the full type, like when there's a file on your computer, but you don't see the full.
Right.
And that's how I always see it. So until I just recently saw the full file name. Oh, that's the one guy. So,
word.
Yeah.
Marco.
All right. So I'll just go on order. Like the Coheed and Cambria Vaxis-Act 1. Like everybody else, I wanted to see what they was about. I've heard a few songs of those in the past, but one thing I will say that I want to get more into the plot of what's actually going on. Just because I want to be informed about what's
Yeah, and to
but
know like to know what the themes are actually speaking to it.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
the music of it is pretty amazing. It was long, which is not really a problem, but I enjoyed it. I really like the album art too. It like reminds me of Final Fantasy in a way.
Yeah, I can get that.
Yeah.
I was
Looks like
thinking
a video
Halo.
game cover.
I was thinking Halo.
Oh
or
yeah,
something.
Halos. But I definitely appreciate them. The Michael Kilgore, I really appreciate his range as a vocalist. Like I said, I really hear gospel influences in his music. Just like kind of some of the transitions, like the pianos and just where he goes with the vocals and some of the riffs and stuff like that is very gospel inspired to me, which I understand because I grew up in that vibe. But very talented, man. Like everybody else said, basically I could share those same sentiments with that one. Jim Crow the musical, I'm gonna have to pick as one of mine. Everybody mentioned how clever he is, like with the lyrics and just the flow of the content. Like it's kind of hard to have this certain content in an overall album and still execute like he did, and it be sounding fresh, and it did that. Shout out to whoever drew him, even though I don't know how he looks. Shout out to the cover. Nah, for real, because
that's very much his face.
I can't get out of my head. I don't know if the hat placing on his head is. I don't know why I just can't get this out of my head. But like, as an artist, I'm trying to figure out if the placement of his hat is logical. But I
Pearson mentioned the same thing. That's so funny.
for real. But
That's
I'm
so
really
funny, man.
I mean, as far as the music is, man, I like kudos to I think you will have to execute this album, you will have to have a process that is that considers the content first.
Yeah.
And he did it in a good way. Caustic Love, I had never really heard of him. Paulo Nutini.
Mhm.
But I really am glad I heard this because it's like a, not that I haven't heard this style of music before, but it's just like the voice and the execution is up there, man. Like I really enjoyed that. Like overall, the variety of type that you gave us is dope. The Sons of Kemet album, like off the top, like just looking at the track listing, is dope. Is funny.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
the actual name of the album and the track listing is referring to, you know, African American queens, and then
Not even.
or
I mean,
African. Yeah, you know,
it's across the diaspora. That's what I
right,
forgot
right,
to mention.
right.
The whole album was a slight to English monarchy,
Yeah,
and so
because
it's called.
go ahead.
It's called "Your Queen is a Reptile," speaking to the Queen of England, and then it says "My Queen is" on all the track titles, and they list great black women throughout the diaspora and history.
Right.
I did not know that. That's funny.
That off
Yeah,
the
me
top,
either.
As far as the Queen of England thing, that's funny that they call it a reptile.
because in this world or whatever, like reptilians, like that whole, it's a whole thing where they believe that Caucasians or some is a race of reptilians, basically. Which, you know, whatever. But at the same time,
now entering Marco's conspiracy corner.
yeah, but you brought it up here. So your queen is a reptile would be a slight to European, whatever. You know, it don't have to be a slight. It's just what they wanted to highlight, which is cool off the top to me. But the musicality of it is very powerful, and I would say I'll have to agree with Adam. Like, I would want to see them live because this is the type of musicianship that I feel like you can not only appreciate live, but like that would be very important because I don't know, like you say it's 4 of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
To see that live would be like just assuring somehow. But they are at times I don't want to say overpowering, but it is a powerful musicianship. So, and with the jazz, like the type of jazz that most people are used to, I think is like smooth jazz or like that type. And when you listen to this, it's like a little bit overwhelming. But I really enjoyed it. And BJ the Chicago Kid, I think I was introduced to him a little late, but I really like him. This project I was not really familiar with, but is totally him in the sense that everything that you guys described is just like him in a nutshell. And he's very creative and very, I want to say his lyrics are kind of straightforward sometimes, which is dope. But my top two, which I need to hurry up with, is probably not probably, but the Jim Crow the musical, just because I don't think a lot of people could have did this, and with the content and the musicality of it, I really commend that. And it is hard picking a it's like a toss up between all of these. But I'll go with the Sons of Kemet, just because I feel like is a whole nother world to be discovered in their discography if it goes deeper, because I'm not sure. I need to do more research. And honestly, Josh's list was the one that I sat with the least amount of time, which I will change, but I'll go with those two.
Yo, something that I just realized is I didn't put much hip hop as my choices. I must have just needed to be sung to. I guess. I think I just realized that, man. There's like a lot of good hip hop.
I don't think any of us did.
But,
I only put technically
Yeah,
one
I
hip
only
hop album.
picked two.
Yeah. Well, yeah, maybe that's why.
Yeah, it's just we were all trying to offer some diversity, so we all offered at least one. I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Word. So what's the vote tally, Adam?
All right. So for me, I mean, for
At least
Aaron,
the highest of it, anyway.
yeah. For Aaron, the highest was Gnarls Barkley, Odd Couple. For me, it was Krungbin. For Marcus, it was Knowledge. And Josh, you had two that tied with two, which was the Jim Crow and Caustic Love. Both had two apiece. And then Michael Kilgore and Sons of Kemet had one apiece. So that's pretty balanced as well.
Yeah, Josh had a hard list to kind of judge. Not judge, but pick favorite, you know.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the count.
Word.
And for me, for me, before we wrap up,
go ahead.
I do want to say this is awesome, and I'm looking forward to the next time we do it. Honestly, I don't mind doing 6 again, but we just gotta. I think we just gotta figure out. We just
gotta do it far enough out.
Yeah.
Or
as far as
I was gonna say I don't mind doing 6 either, but maybe we should do 5.
Yeah, you can do that too. Yeah, 5 is fine.
Yeah, I just gotta make sure that I write. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm gonna be real quick. I'm gonna say this. I feel like this is really cool because I feel like, not to sound cheesy or anything, but I feel like I know all of you better. Because I feel like although we have a lot of the same interests in music, I mean, some of these albums I would have never listened to. Like,
and I'm excited about, because I know with my list, I really didn't. I'm just excited to know everybody better, basically.
Yeah.
I don't think I like this list defines me. Not that it has to. I'm just saying I'm just ready to hear more, which is dope because I respect everybody's music taste here. So that's what's dope about it.
Word. This is great.
Side note. Is that Spawn or Black Panther on your shirt?
Black Panther.
Oh, okay. Because Spawn got the
I thought it was Spawn too at first.
Because it looks like the red cape.
Right.
Yeah.
This is I don't remember which version this is. I think it came out around the Ta-Nehisi Coates rendition, but I don't think it's necessarily that one. But yo, this has been incredibly educational and refreshing, and I can't say enough how much I appreciate being able to learn more about y'all, because what can easily happen, I don't know how that warranted a collar pop, but
I'm just going off the fit. I'm going off the vibes, man.
I really think being able to learn more about your friends, especially after having such a long friendship, is really, really integral to making sure that you don't get used to the mundane facts about a person,
because we all change and evolve.
Everything must change. If you know that Quincy Jones song,
the nature of the universe.
And so this has been great, y'all. If you tuned in this far, we thank you. We know this was 3 hours long, and
Rogan status.
We can't say enough like how much we appreciate you for listening, and we are grateful. We are the Informally Honest podcast. If you want us to unpack something, if you got something on your mind that you want us to talk about, or if you're just like, hey guys, you're great, or hey guys, you suck.
Non-great questions.
Everything is welcome because all feedback can be used toward our growth, development, and evolution. So we want to invite you to write us at informallyhonestpodcast@gmail.com. That's InformILLY honestpodcast@gmail.com. That's also the Informally Honest Podcast on Facebook, as well as Informally Honest on Instagram. Look us up, write us, like us, subscribe, stream, donate, $ Informally Honest Podcast, Cash App, rate, review on Apple Podcasts. Just give us whatever feedback you got for us, and it'd be great. We love you, and we pride ourselves on being vulnerable, forthright, and most
How
of
you
all,
do one like this?
How you do that for?
Yo, Josh, you the goat in regards to host, man. You the goat host. You the goat. Shit come out sweeter than Sadie.
Oh man, it's been great, y'all. Peace,
y'all.
Music, Sam.
The music is my heart and soul. More precious.
All it truths with my brother. Truth, peace, love, brotherly trust.